Hello and welcome back to the Garion Tabletop. I'm Garion Reaver and this is the Solland Uprising Mighty Empires campaign. This is the second battle of round 2, so if you haven't seen the campaign turn, you should go check that video out. And this is a battle between the Empire and the Skullsmasherz Orcs and Goblins tribe. It is a straight up 1,500 point match, so let's have a look at the armies. As this battle is taking place in the Reikland, the Empire army has a couple of returning characters. The force is being led by General Anselm Uthman, supported by the battle wizard Folk Bar, who both appeared in the first round, I believe. And they are also joined by the new captain Hilja Weiss, who is carrying the battle standard. Here is the rest of the force: 2 big blocks of infantry, 1 unit of archers, the second one that's visible here is the tight version of the skirmishers, and a mortar, and a big unit of Reiksguard knights, because it's about the only time I can get to use them and they're pretty cool. Over on the Skullsmasherz side, of course, the Skullsmasherz have now changed leadership and are most likely being led by Zarge the Zoblin, who is the Night Goblin war boss leading this force. If he does well here and doesn't die, he could well be the new leader. He is supported by another returning character, Kiskir Ramshackle, a pretty poor Night Goblin shaman, as well as a new big boss, Thani Bannered, and a new shaman, Num Piggy. Here is the rest of the force, and I'm aware with the Skullsmasherz, part of the reason they're doing so poorly is I don't know how to play Orcs and Goblins. Like, Solland suffered from a lack of unit choices. This army suffers from a lack of tactics. I just didn't know how to play them. So I have looked at some tips, and I'm going to be trying some tips that I found online. Bearing that in mind, this force is quite simple. 2 blocks of Night Goblins, 2 blocks of Orcs, some Boar Riders, and a Rocklubber. The battlefield represents the rolling fields of the Reikland, and we have these fields which are just nothing, they're just there for flavour. A mysterious forest, a fence down this side, a Sigmarite shrine which impacts the ward saves of the Orcs and Goblins, so basically just their parry saves. Another mysterious forest, some more fence, and a pond. And I'm not sure if the pond is like a real thing, I can't remember. This one that I found in the terrain mod I'm using, so units that touch it can't march, and all random rolled movement is halved, and we'll just see how that goes. First we roll to see who picks a board edge, blue being the Empire, and I've realised I've got them the wrong way around, blue being the Empire, and red being the Orcs and Goblins. And the Orcs and Goblins pick. And they are going to go with the side that isn't the Sigmarite Shrine, so normally I just end up leaving them where they are, but in this case... Oh, no, that didn't quite pick up everyone. There's a limit to how many models, or how many things can be picked up in a single gathering like this. So apparently that was too many. Anyway, yes. So I will swap these over. Before deployment, we have to determine spells. Folkbar is using the Law of Shadows and is a 2nd level wizard. So his first spell is Penumbral Pendulum. That is actually a really good spell against Orcs and Goblins because they have a very low initiative. So I will take that. And his second spell is Steed of Shadows. Has no use to me whatsoever. So I will swap that for the Miasma, which is the signature. Over on this side, both are using the Law of Delittlewar. However, Ramshackle is only a level 1 wizard. I will do Num Piggies first. First one is Gift of the Spider God. Poisoned attacks. I don't know if that's particularly useful with the strategy I have, but Sneaky Stabbing... Oh yeah, Sneaky Stabbing could be very useful, so I will swap Gift of the Spider God for Sneaky Stabbing, and Num's second one I somehow did wrong. It is Vindictive Glare. Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, I have to. And Kiskir's is Night Shroud. Yeah, I'll take Night Shroud. That could play very nicely into my strategy. It is Kiskir's only trick, but it could be useful. Now we roll to determine who deploys first. Again, red... Oh no, this time red is Empire and blue is Orcs and Goblins. And again, it is Orcs and Goblins. They deploy first. So I slightly tweaked the arrangement of these because I realised they'd have trouble fitting on the board. The strategy I've found suggests a particular way of deploying and such. So I'm going to place some Night Goblins in a big long line there. For the Empire, Hilger's swordsmen are going to deploy on the road, which is what that's supposed to be, by the way. Over here, the other goblins are going to deploy. They want to miss the fields, the woods if they can. So they're going to go here. The woods are going to be a bit of an issue for, and the pond, frankly, for the Reiksguard, but I don't want to deploy them yet. Also, I need to avoid the fence. The Reiksguard are going to have to be over here, which means the Halberdiers are going to go against this fence, because it doesn't affect their movement at all. And now I put the strategy I have into plan. So, into plan what? You deploy, apparently this is what I read, you deploy orcs behind goblins. Oh, who were the archers? They were from the swordsmen, so sorry, they had to go here with the swordsmen, so that was their thing. So the Reiksguard then are going to go over here, so that they can make use of this space, and hopefully, I mean, to be honest, the fences are really, really screwing over the Reiksguard where the fences happen to be. The other orc boys, these are the big uns, or just orcans, because I typed it wrong. They're big uns on the command, but the rest are just orcans. So the orcans are going here. Next is I can't remember if you do the I think you do the war machines next. So the war machine is going to go over here, so that they have a pretty good, I'm going to put it right at the back and move the crew. They have a very good line of sight across most of the battlefield. Actually, I can put them here, can't I? Because it's unlikely they're going to get charged through all of this. Clearly they're not positioning stuff to move through these woods. So they're going to have a very good line of sight. The boar boys are going to go... Oh, where's the best place? I think the boar boys are going to have to go here to counter the Reiksguard. I would have liked them here, but that would have left this flank way too open with the Reiksguard and stuff. And then the final Empire thing is Folk. What does he have? The Pendulum and the Miasma. Yeah, he's going to have to go somewhere he can see. I suppose he can go there. He can see reasonably well. The Rock Lobber also wants a good line of sight. That's probably a good place. Can see most of it. It's far enough back so that they can see round their front line, which is quite a wide one. And that is all of the Empire deployed. So the Orcs' final deployment is Numpiggy, because I slipped Kiskir into the unit because of the way Night Shroud works. It needs to be in a unit. Numpiggy is going to go here between those. The Fanatics do not deploy. They are hidden within one of the units, which I know what it is. I have marked it on it. So you're just going to have to take my word for it that I'm not going to cheat. But yes, the Fanatics are hidden in one of the two Goblin units. As the Empire finish deploying first, they get a +1 to this roll to determine who gets the first turn. Oh, it would be a draw, but because of the +1, the Empire gets to choose. And they are going to go second, because they do get to choose. That's the way I rule it. And they would rather the combat heavy, the the combat and melee heavy army goes first, so that they get one fewer turn of being within charge range. So it is the Skullsmasherz first turn. Hopefully you'll be able to see this strategy in action without me having to explain it and spoil the surprise, but I'm going to move up with both of these long units. This one's actually got a front of 11. Oh, I'm going to have to stop that guy snapping. This unit actually has a front of 11. Actually, they both do because of that, but this one has actually got a second rank of it as well. Because you don't need to stick to, round numbers. I just tend to because you get bonuses for, ranks of 5, so going for 11 like this is for a specific cause. Oh, Animosity. I need to roll Animosity. The unit suffering from Animosity is the boys, the boar boys, both orc boys, and both sets of goblins. So that is basically everybody. So I will move down the line. So boar boys first. On a 1 they fail. They're fine. Top orc boys. They are fine. Goblins here. They're fine. The orc boys here. They fail, so they have to roll on the animosity table. And their result is 6. We'll show them. Pivot the unit to face the nearest enemy unit and then make a full non-march move. It must be straight ahead. If it's impossible to pivot, it will... Okay. Well, the awkward thing there is that they couldn't. Because they had a unit there, they literally can't move forwards yet. It must declare a charge against the closest visible enemy unit if possible. If it cannot declare a charge, it may carry on with the turn as normal if it hadn't moved. As if it had not moved. Yeah, they can't move. So it seems this doesn't... Does this? I don't know if that precludes them from moving. I mean, the nearest enemy is straight ahead. They just can't move because the goblin's in the way. So I guess they don't move, but I also don't think it impedes their ability to move normally. I don't know. Hang on, let me have a look. My assessment of this says that they can just move normally, so I can move the goblins and then they can move. Because the other two options on the animosity table specifically say they may not move in the movement phase. It is in the start of turn sub-phase, so this is not them moving in the movement phase, and therefore if it doesn't say they can't, whereas the others do, that implies that they can then move in the movement phase. So my assessment of that is rolling a 6 on the animosity table means they can, which is what I rolled, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Which means they can move normally in the movement phase. So they are going to move forward 4 inches as well. So they are basically doing exactly what they could. Oh, they moved a little bit too far there. They're doing exactly what they would have done anyway, but they are doing it voluntarily. The ball boys are moving up 7 inches. I got a rule slightly wrong last time. I did, I think, mostly edit it so that I didn't say it, but I thought that cavalry moving through woods of any kind caused a dangerous terrain. It doesn't. It's only if they charge or pursue or anything like that. However, they have now touched the mysterious forest, so I have to roll to see what it is. It is a wild wood. Oh, goody. Roll for any unit at least partially within at the end of the movement phase. On a 4+, they suffer hits. Numpiggy is also moving up 4 inches. You can't, unfortunately, because of the way like decals work in this game, you can't like see lines and stuff over it. So like if I, oh, you can do that. But if I, oh no, you can do that as well. All right, I don't know. It's weird, inconsistent and weird. Like all of these lines go beneath the path. It's a bit annoying. Now, end of the movement phase, we roll for the boar boys to see if they're affected by the wildwood. On a 4+, they do, so they do not. Magic. 5. Channel 2 for Skullsmasherz, they get 1. Channel 1 for the Empire, they get none. Let's start off with an upcast Vindictive Glare from Numpiggy. Is he in range? Yes, he is. You can't see the line, but it's a range of 24. So it's upcast. He needs a 10. He's a level 2, so he needs to roll an 8, which he just succeeds. Does he? No, he doesn't. That's a 7. He fails. Wow, good job. Oh, I forgot to make note of their magic mushroom rule. Hang on. Right, because they are night goblin shamans, they have the magic mushrooms rule, which means when they cast a spell, you roll an additional power dice for free, which is enough to succeed the spell. Total of 14. As the other spells are combat related, the Empire are going to try and dispel that with all 4. Oh, that's a bad roll. 10, that's not enough. The spell passes. So Vindictive Glare does 3d6. Oh, strength 3 hits. 15. Right from the off, this could be an incredibly damaging spell. 8 wounds. They do get an okay armor save, and 5 fails. So 5 wounds from the first spell. That's pretty good going. Doesn't look like it's diminished the swordsman much, but it has. Not enough to cause any issues or anything like that. Normally, Sneaky Stealing would activate here, but they used all 4 of their dispel dice, so there is actually nothing for them to sneakily steal. And then Kiskir in this unit is going to cast Night Shroud. He needs 9 reduced by 1 for his level to an 8, which he definitely gets. And he adds an extra 1. It didn't really matter. It was just whether it failed and caused a wound, which it did not. So they are now affected by Night Shroud. So now they are counted as in soft cover, and any attempt to charge them counts as charging through dangerous terrain. Which, the reason Kiske is in that unit is because... Did I do it the wrong way round? I did. Swapping those over because I would have noticed that beforehand, and it doesn't matter about the range and stuff. Yeah, the reason that is happening is because Thani Bannered is carrying the Banner of the Bad Moon, which does the exact same thing. Counts as always in soft cover, and any unit charging them counts as going through dangerous terrain. Now the Rock Lobber. It's just going to fire again at these swordsmen. They seem like a pretty good target. It can see the template there, so it is going to aim to try and hit Hilger as well. Rolling scatter. It goes that way, 6 inches. Like so. Ooh, that almost scatters off the unit, but not quite. Hits 12 in total, 11 ordinary and 1 with the increased strength for being under the center hole. Center hole guy, definitely dead. Everybody else, half chance of being dead. 5 wounds. 2 of which are saved, 3 dead. They've really chipped away at that unit, haven't they? That is not bad shooting for a goblin contraption. And we go into Empire turn 1. Yeah, I didn't really place the archers well, did I? I placed them in front of the one bloody blocking terrain on this side of the board. I think I will have them move forward to garrison the Sigmarite Shrine, because I believe in, like, oh, what was it? Was it the, no, that was the Monument of Heroes, I think, in the very first round battle. Anyway, I should probably have specified whether it was garrisonable, but I would say that it is. So they will move forward and garrison, excuse me, and garrison this thing. So I will place a guy there and move them off. We don't have a great deal in the way of shooting on this side. Pretty much just the mortar, well, just the mortar, the Arter, and Folk Bar. But I think they are going to still hold their ground and let the goblins come to them because, yeah, like, this is an imposing thing. And they do have, like, they don't know about the banner that Thani is carrying, but they do know that they can't charge this unit. They know that the Orc Boar boys are going to come out of the woods, and they don't want to charge into the woods for various reasons. So, yeah, it does make sense to hold back and just sort of open up. What's the range? Yeah, the range is enough. It's a small board, so Folkbar can probably do some damage. End of the phase, the Wildwood activates. And this time it does some damage, so it does 1 strength 4 hit. No wound. Magic. 7. Channeling 1 for the Empire. Channeling 2 for the Orcs and Goblins. They get 1. Alright, there isn't a massive chance he can hit many people with this, but he will try. He's going to cast the Pendulum. You know what? I'm going to put 6 dice into this and upcast it. So he needs an 18 down to 16 because of his level. And, ooh, not irresistible. Total of 21. He casts it. They're going to use 5 to try and dispel. And they get an irresistible dispelling, double 6, so spell's gone. However, he is also going to cast Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma on the Boar Boys. They are within the 48-inch range, which is a phenomenally large range for a basic spell. But he's only got 1 dice, so he needs to roll a 3 or higher. Which he does get, because he's a level 2, increase it to the 5 he needed. He can decrease their weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, or movement by D3. He's going to reduce their movement by D3. So their movement is reduced by 2 inches. And the reason he went for movement is because that way they spend even longer in the Wildwood and even less time being able to impact the battle. I should have marched them. I didn't even think of it, but oh no, I couldn't have marched them into the pond. Because that's specifically what it does. But I could have marched these guys. Shooting. The archers are going to shoot out of the Sigmarite Shrine, and because of the way shooting from a garrison building works, they can have a sight of 360 degrees, but only 5 can shoot per floor, and I'm counting this as a single floor building. So they can measure from, it's actually from the edge of the building. They actually don't have particularly good targets here, because the Boar Boys are quite high toughness. The Night Goblins are all counted as soft cover because of the Banner and the Night Shroud. I think they're going to go for the boar boys because they already have a -1 for moving and shooting. And this way, that's not quite in the center, is it? There we are. Can you lower now? Uh-oh. Guys, the Sigmarite Shrine has risen into the air, being supported by an archer. Just slowly descends back on. Weird. Yeah, anyway. Where was I? 5 archers are going to shoot at the boar boys at long range. Yeah, they would have needed a 7. So, I mean, they've still failed miserably. They would have needed a 7 to hit the goblins because of the long range and the moving and the soft cover. But next turn, they should have a decent chance. The mortar, this can see basically everything because fences don't block line of sight. So, or then again, can they? I'm not sure they can actually see the boar boys because the goblins, that's part of the point of them, that they are screening. So the mortar is going to fire right there. And that way it hits both the orcs and the goblins. Can definitely see it. Scatter and artillery. 10 inches that way. That is bad because 10 inches is a long distance. So it is almost certainly, yeah, completely off. So it's about there. So it just lands in the field and destroys a farmer's hard-earned crops. As we go into Skullsmasherz Turn 2. Animosity, again, moving down the line. Boar boys. Fine. Top goblins. Fine. Top orcs. Fine. Lower goblins. Fine. Took a sec for that. And lower orcs. Fine. Wonderful. Goblins are going to move forward 4 more inches. Orcs behind them, and I left a goblin behind. And orcs behind are going to move forward 4 more inches, and I've remembered marching exists, so I will actually march. Ooh, I need to be careful of the woods, though. Alright, I'm going to march them a bit and move them over so that they do actually miss, and I'll stop there. And move them up as well to right behind. Over here, they cannot march, but they are going to move the 4 inches, so it slightly skews my battle line, but that's not the end of the world. Move them forward as well, as far as they can. They no longer have that bonus. And Numpiggy is also going to move forward. He's going to stay just behind the battle line, but he can still see past it. And the boar boys are 2 movements slower, but they still have a movement of 5. And, oh, didn't mean to click that. And at this point, they are committed. They're not exactly the most intelligent creatures, so they are just going to move through there. End of the movement phase. I need to test for the Wildwood. On a 4+, they take hits. They do not. Magic. 5 again. 2 for the orcs. Nothing. 1 for the Empire. No channeling. I think first I'm going to cast Night Shroud because it's quite pivotal that this unit does not get charged easily. So Night Shroud on 3, he needs a 9 reduced to an 8 because of his level, which he gets with a total of 11. I don't think they plan to charge this turn, so they are not going to bother dispelling that. I forgot the magic mushrooms. He's fine. Then Numpiggy is going to use Vindictive Glare on 2 dice. He's going to try and upcast because of the magic mushroom bonus. Ooh, that's really poor. Total of 6 with his level. And he gets 1 extra dice. 9, not enough. Spell doesn't pass. Shooting, the rock lobber can still see. And the way it's measured, you see, because the idea is... the issue with Empire artillery is that they're really low. Like, the mortar, the cannon, they're both incredibly low weapons. Like, the Hellblaster and the rocket artillery are both taller, but these are basically man height. So if you can't see over at man height, you can't see. Whereas most other races have the sense to have tall artillery. And I think I talked about it before, that the Skaven, like, both the catapult and the warp lightning cannon can be assembled in such a way so that they are tall like this. And that's because you view line of sight from basically the pinnacle of this. So it's usually done from like the barrel of the weapon or whatever, or for catapults, I believe it's like the top of the crossbar. So yeah, you can easily see over. So I could have placed them like here and they'd still be able to see over. And And that's why low artillery is bloody worthless in a lot of cases. Harder to shoot at, but harder to shoot with. Going with another rock, aiming there, seeing we can take out these swordsmen before we get into contact. Direct hit. So this should hit both the champion and Hilger. However, they both benefit from Look Out Sir. So on a 1, because it is a template, on a 1, they're hit 2 or higher. This is the champion, he's fine. And Hilger, they're fine. So neither of them are hit despite the template being there. So it's just 9 ordinary guys, one of which is hit by the higher strength. And the higher strength guy's dead. Oh, I just got that in time. I forgot to reset the number I was aiming for. 4 wounds on the lower strength. Armor saves, 1 save, 3 dead. Because the higher strength guy doesn't get an armor save, you know, because it's a strength 9 hit. This is the downside of just standing there when you're also getting shot at. But yeah, there is very little shooting in this list. I expected it to be sort of quite high combat, and, you know, only when I got into it did I realize, oh yeah, they could just stand at the back. As we go into Empire Turn 2. Really feels like we're moving at a clip in this battle. Especially as I think nobody's going to move. So, because they're still waiting for the boar boys to emerge from the woods. They still don't want to charge. These guys are aware that at least this unit is difficult to charge. And even at the range that they are, it's not a solid charge. So yeah, they're inclined to just wait. Do let me know in the comments if you would prefer me to play sort of sensibly and tactically, I hope you can hear the inverted commas, and wait like this, or whether you prefer, like if you find it more entertaining to do the 2 armies just charging at each other, even if it isn't the most sensible thing. I would be really interested to know which you prefer. End of the movement phase, we test for the boar boys in the wildwood, and they are fine. Magic, 7 again. Fun fact, did you know that 7 is statistically the most likely result if you roll 2d6? Because a d6 has an average result of 3.5. Channeling 2 for the orcs, nothing. Channeling 1 for the Empire, nothing. And it's going to be the pendulum and then the miasma again, because that's literally all he can do. So let's go with, I think he's going to try and upcast the pendulum on 6 dice. He needs 18, minus 2 for his level, 16. Gets a total of 19, including his level. That is barely cast, but it is cast. And they are going to spend 5 to try and dispel it again. Ooh, a total of 18, including the level. So it passes an upcast pendulum. So roll 6d6 and double the length, and every model in the way suffers a strength 6 hit with multiple wounds. 6d6 and double the length. 21, so 42 inches in any direction. So he can hit a ton of people. There, he'd be able to hit 2 characters and a whole load of other things. So I think he's going to go for there. So that's... oh, this is going to be really hard to keep track of who. If he aims it there, then he can definitely get 2 characters, 3 night goblins, 10 orcs. 2 characters, 3 goblins, 10 orcs. 2 goblins, 3 characters, 10 orcs. So they, because it is, I assume it counts as a template for this. I can't find a definitive answer, but I'm going to say yes, it does, because, you know, it's a line, and characters generally benefit from any kind of shooting whatsoever, so I'm going to say it counts. So Zarge and Fanny both get to test, and on a 1, they are safe. Zarge is safe. Fanny is safe. So it is 5 ordinary goblins and 10 orcs. Oh, specifically, these are the big uns as well. Or, sorry, the orcans. They're tougher. So 5 goblins and 10 orcans have to take initiative tests. Goblins first. 3 fail, so they take a strength 10 hit. 10 orcans have a lower chance of success because they are slower. 8 fails. Doesn't matter whether you're orcs or orcans, they're all getting wounded on 2. 7 dead with no saves. And, only 2 goblins dead. Yeah, that's pretty damaging. That's actually the first losses the orcs have suffered, despite being, like, just moving over open ground for 2 turns. And he's going to cast the miasma on the boar boys again. He needs, again, a 3+. which he gets, and they still have no dispel dice, so it passes again, reducing their movement by 3 inches this time. Shooting, the archers are going to go for the night goblins here, and they can actually draw a line that is short range and doesn't go through cover, so they do still get soft cover, so actually it doesn't matter if they shot through there, it would still, they only benefit from soft cover once, but that means that it's a short range with soft cover. Only 5 can shoot from the garrison. That is 2 hits, 2 wounds. They get a piddling armor save, which 2 of them fail. And then the mortar is again just going to go for the center of the goblins to try and hit the orcs and the goblins at the same time. Scatter goes, 10 inches that way. That's not good. That is getting a little bit worryingly close to them. Oh no, that looks like that's going to miss entirely. So 10 inches that way, smashes apart the woods. But that's actually getting a bit short range. I didn't think of that the mortar has a minimum range. And yeah, they're going to be within the minimum range next turn, so the mortar might actually need to move if it wants to shoot. I really should have thought about that and deployed them further back. It's not something I've really had to deal with before. Skullsmasherz Turn 3. Animosity, Boar Boys, fine. Top Goblins, fine. Top Orcs or Orkans, fine. Lower Goblins, fine. Lower Orcs, fine. Are they within charging range yet? No. They only have a movement of 4, so they'd need a 11. So they are moving forward 4 inches, and they are now out of the water. So they might be within, because this is garrison, they are now within 8 inches of an enemy unit. So to march, which they want to do, they're going to have to take a leadership test. Testing on Zarge is 8 with a reroll. They fail the first one, they give a reroll because of the battle standard bearer, and they fail it again. So they're not marching. These ones are going to move forward 4 inches as well. They are also within 8 inches of the Sigmarite Shrine, so they are going to have to pass the leadership to march as well, which they are going to try. Again, it is 8 with a reroll, they pass. So they're going to move forward, but not close enough to be affected by the Sigmarite Shrine. So they're going to stop here, because it causes... screw it, it doesn't matter. Like, I can't remember how far they just moved. So I'm just going to move them a little bit further forward because they stopped just short of it. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's a reroll on a 6+. It makes so little difference. They're going to move forward 4 inches. Just out of curiosity, how far back? Oh, no, alright then, because they were just in front, so they can actually move another inch, which they will do. The orcs, are they within 8 inches? They are not, which means they can just march, so they are going to march up behind them. Alright, looks like, that's fine. And the Orkans are going to move up behind as well, with Numpiggy moving 4 inches, and then, is he within? Nope. So he's going to move another 4 inches with a march. But he's getting concerned about how close he's getting to the front line now. He's practically a viable shooting target, but he does get... Actually, he is a very viable shooting target. I'm going to have to remember that. The Boar Boys are down to a movement of 4 because of the slowing, but they are going to move to there. Ooh, actually, could they have charged? 13 with a movement of 4, that means they need a 9. That is a low chance, and they would suffer dangerous terrain. No, they're not going to do it. So they're going to move forward to... Screw it. Yeah, we need to get in combat. They're too vulnerable. So they're going to stop there because they can definitely charge from there. They are also definitely going to be charged. If they're definitely going to be charged, it seems silly to place them there on purpose. All right, I'm gonna put them here. So they're going to move forward a little bit, but they're still sort of back. However, at the end of the movement, they don't suffer from the Wildwood. Magic. 4 is getting weaker. Channeling 2 for the Orcs. Nope. Channeling 1 for the Empire. Nope. And I think Piggy is going to put all of that into a Vindictive Glare against the Knights. So that's 4 dice. He needs a 10, minus the 2 for his level, and 8, which he gets. plus the one for the mushroom. Total of 20. Their only chance of dispelling is a double 6, which they don't get. So it causes 3d6, strength 3 hits. Ooh, 14. Decent chance to wound, but their armor is what's going to save them. 7 wounds. With such a low strength attack, they've got a great save, and they all save it. Damn. The reason he went for them, he could have gone for the swordsman and continued whittling them down, but the knights are an imminent threat. And like even one lucky wound that got through there would severely impact them. Shooting, the rock lobber can see, and actually I think they're going to go for the knights as well. Like they are very concerned about the knights. They are, I believe, within range 45. Yeah, it's a range of 60. So they're going to go for the knights up here. Just aim right in the center of the knights. So test for scatter. Oh, 8 inches that way, that's probably off them. Well, it's definitely off them, they aim for the front rank. Yeah, it's just in nowhere. Damn. I thought it was a thing in Warhammer. Was it a thing in... It was a thing in something. Is it in 40k? That you reduced the scatter by the ballistic skill. I mean, it's not a thing in 8th edition fantasy. It might be in one of the earlier ones, or perhaps in 40k, I don't remember. But I'm sure that was a thing at some point. Still no combat, so we go into Empire turn 3. And now the knights have a choice to make. They can charge the goblins, which they would almost certainly make. They would count as going through dangerous terrain, or they could charge the boar boys and also go into dangerous terrain. And yeah, basically whoever they don't charge can flank charge them in return, but it's probably worse to get flank charged by the boar boys, so they're going to charge them. So they need a 12 in total, they have a movement of 8, so they need to roll a 4, which they do. So they move up, and that is... Ooh. Yeah, that is just on the right side of that, like, border, that base. So all 5 of the front guys have to test for dangerous terrain, which is... Come on, guys. Which is... the champion, Uthman, and 3 ordinaries. Champion is fine. Uthman fails. It's always the character or the champion that fails, isn't it? 3 ordinaries, one of them fails, I suppose, you know, well, whatever. Yep. Uthman takes a wound from charging into, like, the tiniest bit of woods. And the question is, do I want to charge here or not? And I probably don't. I probably don't because, even then they're sort of within range. Yeah, like they don't have the Night Shroud at the moment. But on the other hand, because, alright, I'm going to explain the strategy that this is all about. And because I'd like to explain to you why I think actually it's not a very good strategy. Because I went online looking for tips and tricks on how to play Orcs and Goblins. And one strategy it said was have a screen of goblins in front of orc boys. And then that way, when you're charged, you can take a flee reaction as the goblins, flee through the orcs, and because of size matters, is a rule that says goblins never cause panic tests in orcs. So you can flee through the orcs, won't cause a panic, and that just leaves your bruiser unit ready to either be charged or countercharge if the charge fails for whatever reason. Because of the screen of goblins, they're unlikely to have been whittled down much before that point. So that's how this is supposed to work, and especially with stuff like the Bad Moon Banner that Thani has, and Night Shroud, makes it so that charging them, like even declaring a charge against them, is dangerous terrain. So if you proceed with the charge, if you try and catch them or try and overcharge, it can screw you up, I think is how it works. The downside is, what incentive do they have to charge? Like, between stuff like the orcs being blocked off, the orcs cannot reach them. The goblins are in the way, you can't charge through allies. So surely the orcs are just trapped behind the goblins. And if I don't charge the goblins, then sort of what's the downside? I mean, the one thing that could work, you see, is if you charge, wipe them out, and then pursue or overcharge. So you can sort of, actually that might be worth doing. Charging in here, defeating them, and then barreling through and hitting the orcs. That's probably a good way to do it, actually. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Then we can hit them with these 2 units, most likely. So, 6.4, we need a 3 on 2 dice, which we get. So, the swordsmen do charge in. They are not currently affected by Night Shroud, so there is no downside to this whatsoever. They just move in. And then here as well, the halberdiers are going to abandon their barrier in order to... Hang on. Yeah. They're going to abandon their barrier. They need a 7 as well, so they need a 3 on 2 dice, which they just get, but they do get. So they also charge forward, and there's no penalty for them sort of charging over an obstacle. So they have also charged in. I'm beginning to think that this strategy has not worked for the orcs and goblins, but we will find out together. End of the movement phase, and now both the Boar Boys and the Reiksguard have to test about the Wildwood. So Reiksguard, they get hurt. Boar Boys, they also get hurt. So the Reiksguard are hit by D6, that's 2 hits, and the Orc Boys are hit by 3. Reiksguard are easier to wound, so that's 2 wounds. However, because of how good their armor is, they still get a phenomenal save and are fine. The boys are still wounded by 2. They have an okay armor save and save 1, but 1 is still deadification-ified. Gone. Oh, buggery. Oh, buggery. Oh, no. Oh, no, I forgot. I forgot the fanatics. Okay. The fanatics are supposed to trigger when an enemy unit comes within 8 inches, which they were here. Like they were within 7 inches. That's why they needed, a 7. I completely forgot. So this should have actually triggered. They're in this unit, by the way. Look, if I hover over this, it says fanatics. I forgot that they existed entirely. So it should have triggered in their last movement phase. They should have been released. Oh, that could affect so much. So what I'm going to say, because we're only a little bit beyond the movement phase, I'm going to say that it triggers as soon as they start charging. Like, I'm sorry, it's the best I can do without reversing a whole load of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to say that the moment they begin to charge, the fanatics release. So they were back here. They were on the deployment line. Let's get that back for a sec. So they were both there, and that's when the fanatics release. Oh god, I can't believe I forgot this. I've been doing so well this battle. The way these work is when they're released, you sort of you place them on the edge of the unit. I'm going to stop them from snapping. You place them in contact with the unit, and then they move 2d6 inches. The downside here is that they'll be removed if they touch this fence. So I need to basically throw them all at the swordsman. So I can choose where they come out, so I'm going to have them all 3 come out here, so that they can just move in a straight line down the road. So they move 2d6 inches, so we'll do them one at a time. Top one moves 5 inches, 9 inches, I can count. So it moves 9 inches that way, and it doesn't say how far they're moving. Measure movement. Now it does. So now they move 9 inches this way, that hits them, and instead of anything else, they move through. So they stop there. If it hits a unit, it moves through and deals d6 strength 5 armor piercing hits. So yeah, it'll have gone like so. So d6 strength 5 hits. 1. And it's not a wound. That's horrendously unfortunate. This one moves d6 as well. Again, it's going for the swordsman. And moves 10 inches. So that's enough to hit it. And again, moves through. So they take another d6. This time it is frickin' 1. This is horrendously lucky. Oh my god. Least effective fanatics. What fanatics are is they're a drugged up goblin swinging a giant ball on a chain, and they're just going careening into this unit, and missing everything. So the last one, 7 inches. Again, more than enough to hit the unit, goes through. Deals, come on, do some real damage this time. 4 hits. 4 wounds. And at strength 5 armor piercing, that is no saves allowed. So 3 fanatics hit a unit of swordsmen, and only 4 people are killed. Shocking. As they charge, that happens, and because of the way charging works, they'd sort of already committed to the charge. They do continue it unless they panic, and 4 wounds is not enough to cause them to panic. I am going to have to sort of shift these off, because they do stay behind as the unit leaves them. Great use of fanatics. 25 points each, those were. 75 points. And they did like 4 wounds of damage. That is horrendously unlucky. And the halberdiers complete their charge as well. So we're back to where we were. And bloody very little difference it made. And maybe it would have made more difference if they'd released it last term, because no, they still wouldn't have moved. So yeah, it probably would have had basically the same effect, but they would have just been a bit further. No, they wouldn't have even been further back. They would be in basically this exact position, and this exact thing would have happened. Magic 8. Not that he really has a great deal he can do, because, you know, you can't do the pendulum. He could do miasma. Channeling 2 for the goblins. Nope. Channeling 1 for the Empire. Nope. I think he's just going to cast an upcast miasma on the orc boys, because they're almost certainly going to be in combat soon. So he needs a 10 on that. They've got 4 dice, so he's going to use 5. He doesn't want to overcast and risk an irresistible force, which he just missed. 21, that's more than enough. They have 4 dice to try and dispel a 21, which they fail with an 18. So the difference of upcasting the miasma is, instead of picking weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, or movement, it's all 4. And all 4 of them are reduced by 3. Oh crap, I've been misdoing this. I forgot it was a D3. Whoops. And that's it, really, because direct damage, I would do a pendulum at the fanatics, but it's got to be in his front arc. And yeah, I didn't think to move him, so I didn't think to turn him, and he can't do a pendulum on anything he can see. So, I mean, he could potentially. He's got a very low chance of actually succeeding to hit the thing, and he'd need an 18 to double the range. Alright, he's going to try a normal pendulum, very low chance. But he needs a 13, was it? He gets exactly 13 with his level, so yeah, that does cast. They have no dispel dice left. So d6 inches, 66 inches. 18 inches, I don't think that's enough to reach. No, it isn't. Not even close. So it's just a pendulum goes swinging through this mysterious forest. Shooting. The archers are going to shoot at Numpiggy. He does get a lookout, sir, for being within 3 inches of another unit, but it's at short range. 3 hit. It actually looks like this is, you roll separately for each hit, so it's on a 4+. So actually 2 of these hit the unit, 1 does hit Numpiggy. So the one on Piggy does wound, and he has no armor, so he takes a wound. He's down to 1. And 2 of these, he was blocked by the night goblins. Can they do that? It doesn't say the other unit can't be in combat. So yeah, the controlling player gets to decide if there are 2, and there are. Both of these are within range. No, actually, I'm going to have it on the orcs, because they have a higher toughness. They're more likely to survive, and the goblins are about to get massacred in combat. So against the orcs, wow, still 2 wounds. They do get a minor armor save, but they both, wow, 2 orcs die. That's actually, I think that was probably a mistake. The mortar can draw line of sight. Come on. The mortar can draw line of sight to the orcs who are outside of its range, the minimum range. So they are going to aim there. Yeah, outside of the minimum range. Ooh, can't quite see it there though because of ramshackles sticking out on the side. So I think they're going to have to aim here. Yeah, they can see it there. All right, so roll scatter on that. 8 inches bloody that way. Might scatter onto the other one. I don't think it will. 8 inches. Oh, exactly in the bloody no man's land. This mortar has had horrendous luck. And now what you've been waiting for, the combat. This has been a long time coming in this battle, but these night goblins are about to get messed up. So first of all, there are netters in this unit, which means you roll a d6 at the start of each round of combat, and on a 2 to 6, the enemy unit has -1 strength, and on a 1, the goblins have -1 strength. So it is a d6, and on a 2+, yep, the swordsman and... Oh no, you select one unit, so they're going to go with the... going to go with the halberdiers so that they don't negate the armor save they have. So the halberdiers are down to strength 3 total. Hilger is going to challenge, which will be accepted by the Night Goblin champion, who happens to be directly in front of him. Because Zarge is certainly not going to accept that challenge. Hilger goes first. Wow, only 1 hit. Pretty poor, man. 1 wound. Too strong goes through the armor. And they don't get a parry save because they have spears. Because when I built the unit, I didn't expect them to be 2 things wide, like deep. So yeah, the champion's dead. It always surprises me that goblins are as slow as they are. Like, they have an initiative of 3, which is the same as a man. You always think that goblins would be quick, but it's more that orcs are slow. Next is Zarge. He is going to strike at the swordsman. 2 hit, 1 wound. They get an armor, which they fail, and they get a parry, which they fail. So Zarge kills 1 swordsman. Sorry, I did this wrong, didn't I? They're supposed to flee. They're supposed to flee. Yeah, sorry. I am going to undo this because it was the whole bloody point of building the army the way I did, and I'm not gonna let their only chance at winning this game go down in flames because I forgot that they're supposed to flee from the frickin' fight. So yes, when they were charged, they would have fled. Sorry, I'm reversing this again. Ugh. Yeah. So they just flee straight through. As a flee reaction, they just move 2d6, so that's 10 inches. Which carries them, very nearly cleanly through, but they get carried to there, and Kiskir goes with them. And then they get to choose whether they redirect the charge. So they would have redirected the charge against the boys. Oh god, what did they roll for the charge? It was so long ago now. I think it was these ones, 8 and 9. No, it was before the Fanatics, which were all of these ones. I think it was these 9 and 5. And that is important because redirecting the charge, if the target you're charging at chooses to flee, you can redirect the charge against another unit within range if you pass a leadership. They're both going to test on an 8 with a reroll because they're using Hilger's one with the banner, so the swordsman pass, and the halberdiers... Oh, sorry, no, they're testing on a 7 because they can't use his when they're not in the unit. So they need the reroll, the halberdiers, they fail. So, what this means... Sorry about this. What this means is the swordsman can redirect their charge at the boys... because they were definitely within range, because they rolled a 9, so they could charge something within 13, which is definitely, even like they were about here, definitely the boys. The halberdiers, they rolled a 5, and because they failed the leadership, they have to try and continue the charge against the goblins, who are now out of range, so instead of moving the 5 plus the 4 inches they rolled, which could arguably get them into contact with the orcs. Instead, they can't reach the goblins, so they have a failed charge and just move d6 inches. Or is it just what they rolled? Oh, it's actually not either of those. When you fail a charge, you move the higher of the 2 rolls. I didn't know that. I've always done it as you move the total rolled. But yes, so they rolled a 2 and a 3. So that means they only move forward 3 inches. So they were here, so they only actually move 3 inches to there. This is very important because, oh god, didn't mean to do that, because it means that the swordsmen who did complete the charge to there are now fighting on their own against the orc boys. Bloody hell. Like, literally, that was the point of this entire orcs and goblins army build, and I forgot it. I also forgot the fanatics, which was the other part of it. Yeah. Alright. So, we will redo this fight with the orcs and goblins, with the orc boys instead of the night goblins, who are always intended to flee. Hilger instead challenges the orc boys, and the champion will accept. Oh, hang on, let me move these down a bit, because where they are, they would have fled through... or maybe they did. Oh, maybe they did, yeah. They may have fled through Piggy. God, did they flee through Piggy? Fuck it. It's too late. I can't just keep doing this. I'll end up doing it forever. I'm going to say that they didn't. Whatever. Alright, so it's Hilger versus the boys champion. 1 hit again. No wound this time. And orc boys have choppers, which means they get +1 strength in the first round of combat, which he misses. Next is the swordsman champion, has a higher initiative. 2 hit. No wound, because they are tough. And I decided last time that even if someone is fighting a challenge, the ones behind them can still give their usual support attacks. But that is only 4 swordsmen because of the angle of combat, which they couldn't get a better angle because the halberdiers were in the way. 2 hit. 2 wound. They get... no armor, they get a poor armor save because I've just noticed I didn't give them shields, I gave them extra attacks. So the champion does actually get an extra attack because he's carrying 2 hand weapons instead of a shield. The idea being they were screened by the goblins, they wouldn't need to defend themselves against missile fire. So the extra attack the champion has against Hilger also misses, good job. With the extra attacks in the support, they have 7 hits on a horrendous weapon skill, but they still get 3 hits, and with their +1 strength from choppers, they get 3 wounds, reducing the armor save, and 2 of them still pass it. Oh my god. And they do also get a parry save, which, oh bloody hell. Like, between the fanatics doing nothing to the swordsman and the swordsman just getting 3 6s to deflect the boys' attacks, these are the luckiest swordsmen in the world. And at the end of it, basically no wounds were inflicted on either side. So they get 1 each for the banner, 3 for the ranks, meaning the swordsmen win by 1 because they charged. However, and I've remembered to do it this time, the boys are steadfast because they have more ranks. They've got 5 ranks compared to 4 for the swordsmen. So they are testing on their normal leadership of 7, which they pass. But they will reform from defeat. So they need to test a leadership. They are within range of the banner, so they get a reroll if they fail. They want to move over a bit, so they pass. So they can't move over very far because Num is in the way. But they can still shimmy this way as far as they can, which is there. So this way they have more people in contact and less for the halberdiers to hit when they inevitably charge again. And then the Reiksguard versus the Boar Boys. First of all, Uthman will challenge the champion, who will accept. And Uthman is wielding the Sword of Striking, which gives him +1 to hit. So this is one of the only times when he does get a 2+ to hit, which is 3 hits. 2 wounds, still a pretty decent armor save, and he saves both. Next, Uthman's horse and the boar both attack at the same time, so I'll do the boar first. Boar misses, horse hits, fails to wound. Ooh, damn, I forgot the cavalry impact homebrew rule, where when cavalry charge into combat, they inflict impact hits at the strength of their mount +1 for each rank that they have. So because they only have 1 full rank, they have 5 impact hits at strength 4. So this wouldn't affect the challenge. That is 4 wounds. They do still have a decent save, but 3 fail. That is going to severely impact their ability to fight. Next, the Reiksguard, the horses, and the boars all strike at the same time, so I'll do the boars first. 4 hit. No wounds at all, that's poor. The Reiksguard have lances, giving them +2 strength on the charge, and because of the champion, they have 10 attacks. 7 hit, and even with the boar boy's toughness, that's, oh wow, only 4 wounds. They do still get an armor save, only 1 saves, 3 more dead. And then 4 horses, 1 hit, a wound, which is not saved. That is so embarrassing. So by the time the orcs do actually get to fight back, only 1, other than the champion, can still hit. And he misses. Good job, you dead orc. So, at the end of the combat, the Reiksguard win by 8. They are not within range of the banner, so they are on their own, testing on a double 1, which they obviously fail. They proceed to flee with swift stride, 7 inches, and the Reiksguard are going to restrain pursuit. So they need to pass a leadership test on Uthman's 9, which they fail, and they are not within range of their banner, so they have to pursue. So they pursue with swift stride as well, a total of 11, so they run them down. That's all of the boar boys gone, and they then all have to take dangerous terrain tests. This is why I didn't want to pursue them, you see, because they wouldn't have rallied. And now we have to take dangerous terrain for pursuing through the wildwood. So that's going to be all of them because they moved, 11? Although they caught them after 9. So caught them after 7. So they moved 7 inches, and that is everybody. Yeah, I'd say including that guy. Uthman, he's fine. The champion fails, and then 12 ordinary guys, 2 fail. So they lost more people. In fact, they've only lost people to the wood. That is astounding. They just lost another 3 people to just recklessly charging into the woods. That does cause a panic, because they are definitely within the 6 inches, so the Night Goblins are going to have to test. They do get a reroll. So they're testing on Thani's 7 with a reroll. They fail, and on the reroll, they fail again. So they have to turn and flee from the nearest unit, which at the time was here. So they have to turn directly away from there, and they flee how far? 4 inches. Not very far, but the problem is they're fleeing into a very densely packed area, so they have to move through all of these and come out the other side in order to stop. So I'm just going to move that out. So they have fled through to there. So that was a pretty devastating turn as we go into Skullsmasherz Turn 4. First of all is Animosity, and only 1 unit actually needs to test, because the boars are dead, the goblins are fleeing, and the boys are in combat, so it's just the Orcans. And they fail! Good job, guys. So they get a 2 squabble. If it is possible to do so, they must declare a charge against the closest unit in the charge phase. If the unit is unable to declare a charge, they may not move, shoot, or cast spells. I don't know. I think yes. The knights are outside of their front arcs, they can't charge them. But these are not. It's just whether they can actually... Yeah, they are within probably range. I don't actually know if they can fit, because Num is slightly sticking out, so they can't go flush, and there is this in the way. I mean, they can charge that. That is something that they definitely can do. Yeah, I'm going to say that although that unit is closer, they can't actually charge it because they couldn't get their unit in contact with it. That's closer, even more so, but they can't charge it because it's not on the front arc. But the Sigmarite Shrine, they can definitely charge. So it is 10 inches. They have movement of 4, so they need a 6 on 2 dice. which they fail to get. And therefore, they only move 1 inch forwards. Good job, guys. Also, they're in the pond, which I noticed they picked up a couple of goblins. They're in the pond, which means... then again, attack... Oh yeah, I assume by attack movement. Sorry, I didn't type this. All attack, pursuit, flee, or random movement. So I think that would actually halve their charge range. I mean, it doesn't matter because, they failed the charge, so they only move 1 inch anyway. But no, they would have needed... a 12 to actually reach it, or at least, yeah. Anyway, they failed their charge. That said, they're going to stand and shoot anyway. They're within short range, and they have line of sight without going through the fence. 2 hits. 2 wounds, wow. No saves, that is pretty poor. For the orcs, that is. Next is rallying, and normally you're recommended, it's not a rule, but you're recommended to rally the one with your general first, because then other units can use his leadership. But the other unit that's fleeing is the standard bearer, and I'm more inclined to rally her unit first, because then other units get a reroll, which is better than the +1 from Zarge over Thanes. So, let's see. Gonna try and rally Thanes' unit on a 7. Oh, good job. Double 1. They do rally. I will also take this chance to slightly reform, because it's actually a reform movement. That's why they can turn around. Rally them to there. Now, Zarge's unit, which is rallying on an 8, gets a reroll. Not that it needs one. So Zarge's unit also rallies and also reforms. See, that was the plan. That was the whole thing of the plan, that they flee through and then rally, and then they're on they're sort of giving support from the back line with like the increased leadership and the rerolls and stuff. So that was always the plan. It just got fluffed up a bit. And now the fanatics, who move 2d6 in a random direction. So each of these is completely random. So the top one moves that way, which means they might be moving off they're probably moving off the board, because they're going to move 4 inches, maybe not, probably, yes, off the board, gone forever. Second one, I believe with random movement you use the little arrow on the hit, and it moves 4 inches. So it goes 4 inches in this direction, just spinning its big chain around behind everybody. And the last one, goes towards things by 10 inches. This may overshoot. Oh no, that is going directly towards the halberdiers. So it goes 10 inches this way, hits the halberdiers, continues and clears the other side. It does actually hit some terrain as it does this. So I think when it hits terrain, it is just killed. Oh, damn, sorry. They're also removed if they roll a double, which the second one did. So the first one would have been removed even before going off the edge. They roll a double, so they just die, because they're incredibly hopped up on magic mushrooms. But this one dies from hitting the fence. Does still hit the halberdiers? I'm not sure, because technically when it hits a unit, it doesn't, move through them, it just sort of hops to the far side. How's it phrased? Oh no, my mistake. If the Fanatic's move would end within a unit, he's bounced through automatically. So technically he is moving through and he does hit the fence that is in the middle of the unit. So the Fanatic is dead, but he still inflicts a d6 strength 5 hits on the unit for hitting it in the first place. So he does 5 strength 5 hits, 5 wounds, and at strength 5 against halberdiers, they have no chance of saving. So that is 5 halberdiers dead. Finally, they've done something. Because when 3 fanatics charge headlong into a whole unit of swordsmen, and they do 4 damage, 4 wounds or whatever it was, that is out of a maximum of 18. And they've got a decent chance of doing that 18. And yeah, it's shocking, horrendously unlucky. These swordsmen are just very, very lucky. The halberdiers less so. Magic 6. Channeling 2 for the orcs. Channeling 1 for the Empire. Yes. So they both have 6. And I will, sorry, also move Numpiggy over here, so he's out of the way for if that unit does want to charge in. I think Num will start off with a sneaky stabbing. Only needs a 6 minus the 2 for his level for a 4. He's going to use 3 dice. Ooh, not bad. Total of 14 plus the extra dice. Ooh. And I believe, I'll just double check this, I believe the extra dice cannot cause a miscast. Cannot contribute to irresistible force. And it's irresistible force that causes the miscast. So, yeah, gets a 6 to that. So, a total of 20. And he's casting this on the Orc boys. I think they will use basically everything to try and dispel that. Because the other things, you know, a Night Shroud, not a threat. And the Vindictive Glare, he doesn't really have many targets. He'd have to shoot at the archers because it needs to be within his line of sight. He can't see those. They're not in his front arc, so it has to be the archers that he would shoot with that. And so be it. They're just sort of there. So, yeah, they're going to use everything to try and keep the swordsman going. That is horrendous rolling. Even with his level at 13, they fail. He used 3 dice, and they used 6, and he failed. So in addition to having -3 weapon skill, initiative, and movement, this unit has armor-piercing attacks. And then, yeah, he'll do a Vindictive Glare. He will upcast it because he's got the dice and they can't really stop him. So, ooh, not bad. 12 plus his level 14. Roll the extra 1 for the mushroom. Oh, it's a 1. This is poorly written. The magic mushrooms rule is confusing. You roll a d6 when you cast a spell. It counts as a power dice, cannot contribute to irresistible force. If you roll a 1, you then roll a further d6, and on a 4+, nothing happens. On a 1 to 3, the shaman takes a wound, no armor saves, and then there's a full stop and it goes, finally, unless it was cast with irresistible force, the spell automatically fails. That portion of the rule is disconnected from everything else, and it's not clear if it's saying if you roll a 1, roll a further d6, and finally, unless it was cast as irresistible, it's gone, or if you roll a 1 to 3, you take the wound, and it's gone. It's not clear. I haven't been able to find anything conclusive, but I did find one thing of dubious origin saying that regardless of what the result of the second thing, whether they take the wound, which they do, yeah, so he does take a wound, and he dies. Numpiggy is killed by his own poisonous mushroom. That is pretty embarrassing for Numpiggy. But yeah, it's unclear whether the spell is, gone, but the one source I found said that if you roll a 1 on the first d6, the spell is gone regardless. It could be interpreted that way, it's really unclear, but either way, in this case, the spell fails. Shooting, there is just the Rock Lobber, who almost certainly, even with the height, cannot see. Then again, these are all sort of higher than they should be because of the terrain. So if I just... oh. Nope, that's broken. Yeah, I sort of think that if this was actually at its proper height like that, because the Orkans should be lower as well, I think they can see the Reiksguard. And because the war machines can pivot before they fire, I think it's definitely within like the front arc and stuff. So yeah, they're going to go for the Reiksguard centering on Uthman. And the result of Scatter is a direct hit, which means that hits Uthman with a strength 9 multiple wounds d6. And where's the champion? The champion is dead. Oh yes, he died to terrain. Oh damn, I forgot to roll the Wildwood. I will do that very quickly now. 5. That means they take d6 hits, 4 hits, 2 wounds. Both saved. Carry on. Looks like 5 Reiksguard are also hit by the lower strength part of the Rock Lobber. Uthman is wounded, and at strength 9 there is a -6 to his armor save, and although he normally has a 2+, that is gone, which means he just straight up takes d6 wounds. How many wounds does he have left? He has 2. So he could very well... yeah. Anselm Uthman gets crushed by a rock fired by a goblin ramshackle catapult. Oh, that is really, really bad. And the other 5 are wounded on a 4, which is 3 wounds. However, they all get their full save because it's a much lower strength hit. 1 still fails, though. So that is the back rank of knights gone. Oh, that is devastating. He's been around since the very first round of the campaign. And combat, there is just this one here. Hilger is going to continue his challenge against the boys champion. The orcs still have -3 weapon skill, and yet it still only gets 2 hits. 2 wounds, though, and with his strength, that is no armor allowed. So the boys champion is dead. What's going on here? Guys, this is not the time or place for this. Next would be the swordsman champion, but because they all have a higher initiative than any of the orcs, I'll just do all the swordsmen together. That is 10 swordsman attacks, 6 hits, only 1 wound, not saved. And now the orc boys get to do some damage back because they have extra weapons, meaning they get extra attacks, and they are armor piercing due to Numpiggy's last efforts, so they reduce their armor save by 1. So that is 12 boy attacks. Very poor chance to hit, though, because of the magic still on them. Only 3 hits. 3 wounds, though, because they're no longer affected by choppers. That's only for the first round of combat. But yeah, they get 3 wounds. They do have an armor save, 1 saves, and then they do have a parry save, but 2 fail. So they have 1 for the banner, 1 for the banner, 1 for the standard bearer, which I think I may have forgotten in the last round, and 3 ranks and 3 ranks. Meaning the swordsmen win by 2. They each have 4 ranks, which means the orcs are not steadfast. They do not outnumber them. So they are testing on the difference. However, they're within range of Zarge, so they're testing on his 8 minus 2 for the difference. So they're testing on a 6 with a reroll because of the banner. And they pass on the ordinary one. But what they will do is they will try and reform on... I believe it's also on the difference, so it's on a 6 with a reroll. Yeah, they manage it. I'm getting deja vu suddenly. Whoa, deja vu. Yes. So they're... Come on. They are reforming to get all of their people in contact, because before all of the swordsmen were, but because orc boys are on a slightly larger base size, you need to position them better to get more in contact. And now, Empire turn 4. Oh, they haven't quite moved over far enough. The halberdiers can still charge. They are within their minimum range, because it's movement of 4 plus the minimum roll of 2. So they are just going to charge in, like so. The Reiksguard want to get out of this wildwood, so I think they are going to just pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they do have 1 inch of movement left, but they're not going to use it because there's no point getting a little bit closer. Yeah. Oh no, because they're likely to get rock lobbed again. So yeah, they are going to move 1 inch closer. Folk is going to move 4 inches this way and pivot. So he's not going to be blocking the mortar, but he now has a line of sight. He actually looks kind of cool, just the Reaper in the field. That is actually a really cool image. But yes, this way he could potentially do a pendulum. Nobody's in the wildwood for once, so magic. 6. Channeling 1 for the Empire. Yes, and channeling 1 for the orcs now that Piggy is dead. I guess you could say Piggy went to market. Ah! He's going to use 4 dice on a pendulum. He needs a 13. Oh, irresistible force. So it's 66 in length, and then we'll deal with the miscast. 22 inches. And I don't know if that's enough. It is not enough for him to hit both units. In that case, he's going to strike across there, hitting, God, only 3 goblins because of the angle? Yeah, I don't know that he can hit both of them because of the angle he's at. Okay, he'll go for Kiskir and 2 ordinary goblins. First of all, a lookout, sir, to see if Kiskir is saved. He is. So it is 3 ordinary goblins. And all 3 fail. So that's all 3 taking a strength 10 hit. All 3 are dead. So 3 goblins killed. However, that is not enough to trigger a panic test. Alright, let's see what horrible fate befalls Folkbar. With his miscast, 11. Power drain. That is the least painful thing that could have happened. His wizard level is reduced by D3. It's reduced by 3. He has no wizard levels left, which means he loses his spells. And yeah, he is now effectively out of the battle. Shooting. The archers are going to shoot the big uns to try and soften them up. As we discovered, they are within short range. Only 5 can shoot because they're garrisoned. 2 hits. 1 wound. Saved by the terrible armor they wear. Fair enough. And the mortar is going to go for the goblins, I think. Yep, that's a very clear line of sight, and it is beyond the 12-inch minimum range. So, scatter. This may end up scattering onto our own people. 2 inches that way. It will not. 2 inches that way takes it. Sorry, it's a bit finicky because it's like lifting up. So I think it's about there. Ignore that it says 2.8 is because it's lifting it, so it's seems like it's higher. That looks like it just about hits these 2, which I think is the champion, yeah. So the champion and Kiskir can both make a Lookout Sir roll. So the champion is missed, and Kiskir is missed. So that hits 9 ordinary goblins. I didn't see which one it hit directly, but it did hit 1. So that's 1 wound with the highest strength, and the other 8, 2 wounds. So that's 3 more goblins dead. And let me just quickly count how many were in the unit at the start. There were 17, so 3 is not a quarter. Combat. They are no longer affected by the miasma. They are still slower, however, and they still have their armor-piercing attacks. But Hilger and all the swordsmen are attacking first. Hilger, 2 hit, 2 wound, no armor. 10 swordsman attacks, 4 hit, only 1 wound, not saved. Oh yes, and the halberdier, 2 halberdier attacks. 2 hit, halberdiers have +1 strength, but only 1 wound, and their +1 strength gets rid of the armor, so that's another dead. I think I'm going to split the attacks because the halberdiers won't get any armor saves because of the armor piercing, so but only 2 of them can be attacked. So I'll do 3 boys attacks against the halberdiers because they still have extra weapons. 3 hit. Oh, 3 fail. And then 12 boys against the swordsman. 6 hits. 4 wounds. 1 saved. And none parried. 3 dead. They get 1 for the banner, 1 for the standard. They get 1 for the banner. 3 ranks. 3 ranks. Meaning the Empire wins the combat by 3. And the halberdiers stop them from being steadfast. Because the swordsmen are now down to 3 full ranks compared to the orcs 4, but the halberdiers also have 4, so they are not steadfast. The orcs are testing on a -3. Using Zarge's leadership with a reroll, they are testing on a 5 with a reroll. Not looking good. They fail, and their second one, they fail. The orcs are fleeing, so they are going to flee 7 inches, and they are going to be pursued by the swordsman and the halberdiers. So the swordsman, 8. They are run down. And the halberdiers, 8 as well. So all of the orcs are removed. And this is going to cause panic tests in... Oh, not in the goblins at the back, but in the orcans and in the goblins. So the swordsman moves 7 inches. That's not enough to bring them into combat. And the halberdiers also move 7 inches. Just surging forwards. But the orcans are going to test first, so they are testing on an 8 with a reroll, which they easily pass. And now Zarge's unit on an 8 with a reroll fail, and the reroll... Oh, they just pass. As we go into Skullsmasherz Turn 5. It is not looking good for them, is it? They've been very much cornered now. They are surrounded. They are getting shot and bombarded. Is not looking good at all. Are they within the front arc? Ooh, they just are. Okay, in that case, oh no, I need to test for animosity before I can decide. Yes, animosity. The orcans pass. These goblins Pass. These goblins. Pass. Okay, I am free to do as I will. And the Orcans are definitely going to charge. They're within the minimum range, so they just succeed. And because the swordsmen aren't against this fence, it doesn't count as defending a barrier. So they... Hang on, where do they hit? Because they can make a full 90-degree turn, and then they just charge in. Ooh, I should roll... No, because they were within the minimum, weren't they? So, because their charge distance is halved, but it didn't matter because they were 3 inches away. So, I think the goblins are going to reform because these really long, thin units are terrible for goblins. So that they have both reformed into 5-wide units. Yeah, it's just better for them. They can't charge or anything. I think they will attempt a swift reform. So they are going to, because they have a musician, they are going to try a leadership test on an 8 with a reroll, which they pass, allowing them to move after reforming, and they're going to move backwards. Or do they? Yeah, backwards. Yeah, backwards. Magic. 7. Channeling 1 for the orcs. And I can't remember if Folk can technically still channel. Yeah, it does still matter. Technically, he is still a wizard. He's just a level 0 wizard. So I'm going to say he can. And he gets one. And there is absolutely no reason not to go for an upcast Night Shroud, which will bubble it to every unit within 12 inches, and he needs a 15, so he's going to use 6 dice for that. Not irresistible. 25 plus his level is a 26, and the extra dice is okay. 28. They're going to use everything. The army is going to try and dispel it. They get an irresistible dispelling. It's gone. Shooting. The rock lobbers have 2 viable targets. They can go for the Reiksguard, who... I mean, they've probably done the best they can there. Like, the extra stuff, even if they get a direct hit, is unlikely to wound because of their high armor save. I think he's better off going for the halberdiers and trying to blow up this unit before they can do any damage. So he's going to drop a rock right there, which is easily within line of sight. Scattering that way 6 inches, which I'm fairly sure is just into the woods. Yep, it is off of them towards nobody. Combat, they have been flank charged, but the swordsmen are still quicker, and Hilger will still challenge, which the Biggen champion will accept. So Hilger moves to there so that he can fight, and is for some reason not lowering on the base. Hilger's attacks, 3 hit, 1 wound, no armor, the guy's dead. Immediately kills the Biggen champion. Wow. And the Biggens are still slow, so we've got... they can't make support attacks sideways, so we only have 3 swordsmen fighting. 2 hit. No wounds. And now the Biggens are in an incredible position because they have extra attacks from their extra weapons, they have choppers giving them +1 strength, and yeah, not all of them are in combat, so only these 4 lines can fight. But that is 12 Biggen attacks. 5 hits. Incredible wound chance, 4 wounds, and with the high strength, even without the armor-piercing attacks, I believe that is just 4 dead. So that's the entire back rank gone. The swordsmen have a banner and a standard, the Biggens have a banner, and I believe, and I always seem to forget this rule, the swordsmen are disrupted, which means they do not gain any benefit for having extra ranks because they've been hit by a large unit in the flank. So it needs to be 2 ranks of at least 5. They definitely have that. So the orcs do get 3 for their rank, and the swordsmen get none for their number of ranks. Which means the Empire swordsmen lose and are testing on a -7, which is a double 1. And they fail. And I believe they get 2 rerolls here. So they get the reroll for the Standard Bearer, which again they fail, and then Hilger is carrying the Gleaming Pennant, which is a 1-use only, can reroll its first failed leadership test, and I assume that allows a second reroll. And I'm not really sure, it's probably against the rules, but you know, why else would a Standard Bearer be able to pick it when a Standard Bearer gives them a reroll? So, you know, I'm just going to give them the reroll. they fail it again because they're on a -7. So yeah, they break. The halberdiers are going to have to test. And what about... No, they're beyond the 6 inches, so the archers aren't going to panic. The halberdiers are testing on a 7 with no reroll, but they pass. So the swordsmen are going to flee, and the big uns are going to pursue. So the swordsmen flee 10 inches and are pursued 10 inches. Normally that would mean the swordsmen are caught and killed. However, they move through their ally. So they're actually, like, 10 inches has to put them here because they have to go beyond the ally. So they are placed there and are going to have to do a lot of dangerous terrain for going into the mysterious forest, which I need to roll as well. It is a normal forest. I will say that is everybody apart from these 3. The question is, does Hilger... I would say he holds his position until they finish moving and then moves to the front. I don't know. But yeah, so everyone apart from Hilger and 2 swordsmen are going to have to test, because the rest are just going into woods, because it sort of bulges out there, so catches this guy as well. So that is the champion and 16 swordsmen. Champion is fine. 16 swordsmen, 2 die. That should have only been 15 because the standard bearer breaks as soon as the unit runs. So there's actually... Oh no, yeah, there'll be 1 extra guy moving to fill the rank, so it's fine. And the 10 inches carries them in, and they overrun into the halberdiers. So they count as having charged the halberdiers next round. Talk about a reversal of fortune. They may actually pull this back as we go into Empire turn 5. First of all, the Reiksguard are charging the Night Goblins, and they are going to have to take dangerous terrain for charging through a pond, but it's worth it, because if they can smash through this line, then they can still win this back. So they are within their minimum range, so they just hit. And that looks like everybody apart from this guy are hitting the pond. Everybody passes. Next, the swordsmen can try and rally, and they are on their own, but they're using Hilger's leadership of 8. Oh, damn! Sorry, he should have been rolling 3 dice. That's okay, I don't think they got anywhere close. It's hard to remember which of these 2 dice rolls were the right ones. So even with an extra dice, he couldn't have got a double 1 because he didn't roll any 1s. They do not roll 3 for rally, but they are testing on his 8. And they fail, so they continue to flee another 7 inches into the woods, which takes them dangerously close to the edge of the board, and all of them are going to have to take dangerous terrain. Hilger fails. Champion passes. 15 swordsmen. Bloody 7 fail. Out of 15 dice, I just rolled 7 1s. I think that's the end of the swordsman. I mean, Hilger's wounded. He still has 1 wound, but that is like half the swordsmen who just get killed, falling over roots as they flee in panic. Oh, the Empire had this in the bag. What happened? Folk is going to turn and he's going to march away. We go back to the voluntary fleeing thing that I talked about in... Oh, was it the last Orcs and Goblins battle? There was one battle where like 2 people lost all of their wizard levels, and I talked about how they could voluntarily flee the board to keep them alive for the long-term campaign, even if it counted as them being sort of killed for the points, for victory points in the battle. Or fled, you know, because it's dead or fled. So there is no magic on this side, just straight to shooting, and I don't know that they can actually shoot anyone, because they can't see the goblins, they've got orcs in the way. The mortar can't really see anything either. Is the mortar within range of the rock lobber? It is. So the mortar is going to try shooting at the rock lobber, because it has nothing else to shoot at all. And it basically needs a direct hit in order to do anything, because the lower strength isn't going to do anything against a rock lobber. It is not a direct hit, but it does move 2 inches. That may still be enough to hit it, because it is a large base. 2 inches this way. Or Is it that? Yeah? I'd say that's still over the base. That still hits the rock lobber. Still not guaranteed. It's still an uphill fight because mortars aren't particularly high strength. They're very good at taking out hordes. No wound. But it would have, would have been good there. It is multiple wound. Oh no, it's the rock lobber. Yeah, it is still a multiple wound, so it could theoretically have killed the rock lobber or destroyed the... Move, come on. It could have destroyed the rock lobber in a single hit. Combat. We have 2 combats, and I'll do this one first because the Empire gets to choose, and if they can cause Fanny to flee, then this one won't benefit from the banner. So first of all, Cavalry Impact. We have 4 horses that have made contact. They don't have any extra ranks, so it's just 4 at strength 3. 3 wounds. Miraculously, 2 got saved by their armor, but that is still 1 dead. Ooh! Oh. Yeah, I forgot that Thani is carrying the Banner of the Bad Moon, which means any unit charging them counts as charging through dangerous terrain. So actually there was, the one guy who wasn't in? I am going to have to test him for dangerous terrain, but let me just double check it is all in the unit. It is not. It is specifically any model that charges into base contact. Thani is going to make way so that she can fight. And she has the highest initiative, so she goes first. 2 hit. 2 wounds, because miraculously this goblin has strength 4. But they do still get a pretty good save, and yeah, they save both. Next, everything else hits at the same time, the Reiksguard, the horses, and the goblins, so I will do the 3 goblins first. Absolutely no hits. Because this guy can't hit, that's 8 attacks, and they are wielding lances, giving them +2 strength. 6 hits. Any of these are a wound. Wow, still 2 fails, but that is 4 dead. And then 4 horses. 2 hit. 1 wound. No save. That was a pretty devastating round of combat. They didn't stand a chance. The knights have nothing. The goblins are not disrupted, so they do get 1 for the rank, 1 for the banner. Yeah, they get 1 for a banner. And the goblins also get 1 for the standard bearer. But the goblins still lose by 6, which means they are testing on, it would be a 2. Yeah, it's a 2. They need a double 1 in order to pass, but they do have a reroll, which they almost get, and then the reroll, no, they don't get. So they have broken, and they are fleeing 9 inches. They are pursued with a swift stride. 7 inches. So the goblins do escape. So they move to here. And they fled through these goblins, although they have to test immediately because a unit broke in combat. So they are testing on an 8, which they hold. And then the knights push forward. And that looks like all of them then have to take dangerous terrain as they overcharge into this unit. Oh, damn. I forgot to halve their movement because of the pond. So that should have been 5 and 3. I'm just going to move them off a bit. So 5 would still push them in and through. And 3 would not be enough to overrun into the other unit. Sorry, 4.5 and 3.5. But yeah, they still overran. They get an extra ½ inch. All apart from this guy have to test dangerous terrain. And that is for pursuing through a pond. 1 fails. So 1 more Reiksguard dies. When this unit flees, their standard bearer is lost. In this combat, the Biggin champion is dead, so no challenges. But the halberdiers do go first, and there are 5 of them. 3 halberdier hits. +1 strength, puts them on equal footing, 2 wounds, no armor. With their extra weapons, we have 12 orc attacks, and again, because it's the first round of combat again, they do benefit from choppers. So no armor saves for the halberdiers. 8 hits, so on a 2+, any of them are dead. Wow, 7 wounds. These biggins are doing some work. They each have a banner, and the Orcans get 2 for ranks, but again, the halberdiers are disrupted. They get none for ranks, meaning the halberdiers lose by 9. So they're testing on a double 1, no reroll or anything. They lose, they fail obviously. They flee 5 and are pursued 7. The halberdiers are completely run down. How did this match turn around? Like, I was certain as soon as they got surrounded that they were just done for, but wow. And their overrun, their pursuit, does not carry them into the woods, so they don't need to test for anything. Bloody hell. Yeah, I think the Reichsguard are outside of the 6 inches, and I know that they were, so... Oh, bloody hell, that's turned very, very quickly. As we go into the Skullsmasherz's final turn. At this point, it is pretty much just avoiding additional casualties. So the... animosity. So there are 2 goblins and the big uns. So top goblins, pass. No, lower goblins don't need to, so it's just these. They also pass. They don't need to because they're fleeing. Right, Zarge's unit are going to move. I don't think we have any charges to do. I don't really... Oh, they could, couldn't they? 10 inches? Yeah, they are going to charge the fleeing unit. And the reason I did this is because if you charge a fleeing unit, the fleeing unit has to take the flee reaction. So basically, they immediately turn and they flee even further, which is 3 more inches, which is enough to carry them off the board. So that is Hilger gone. And it is worth taking the dangerous terrain of charging into because they failed the test, so they failed the charge. Sorry, so they only moved the 5 inches, and that looks like everybody apart from these 2 Orkans are going to have to test for dangerous terrain. But it was totally worth it to just get them off the board and basically win the fight. Apart from the Reichsguard. See if I can fit 17 dice around this. I normally cap it at 15, 16 at a push. That seems 17 fits. 5 failed. Wow. So it is possible the Orkans are going to be, if not wiped out, then at least sort of severely diminished below half in the next round of shooting. But I still think that was worth it to guarantee they were off the board. If they'd rallied, which they could well have, they had a decent-sized unit left, then they could have... I mean, they would have been worth a lot of points. Zarge's unit is going to move 1 inch forward. Where's their front arc? Oh, yeah, they're going to have to march to get out of the front arc. Alright, they're going to pivot 2, 3... Oh, no. He's just going to move 3 inches forwards. So he is still in the front arc. He is now going to try and march, because if he can march and get out of the Reichsguard front arc, the Reichsguard can't threaten him in the rest of the battle. So, testing on Zarge's thing with... they don't get the reroll because the battle standard is fleeing. So they're just testing on Zarge's 8, which they pass. So they are allowed to march. So he's just going to march a further 4 inches. And is that taking him out of the front arc? It has not. In that case, rather than just doing that, he's going to pivot 1 and then move 3. Still in the front arc. Yeah, they can't get out of the front arc. They're too slow. Oh, sorry, I forgot to test these guys. So they are testing on Zarge's 8 with no reroll, and they fail. So they flee a further 9 inches. But they should stay on the board. They're not that close to the edge. There we go. So they are fleeing, but they are still on the board. I think they perhaps should have taken a second round of dangerous terrain because of the Bad Moon Banner, because I think you do have to take multiple dangerous terrain if there are multiple causes. I'm not really certain. I don't really recall. I'll leave it for now. But in the magic phase, Kiskir is going to try and cast... Oh, wow, 11. And 1 channeling... No, 11. Kiskir is going to try and do Night Shroud, but at the same time it's like, ooh, is it worth it? I mean, it could kill off a more Reichsguard if they do charge, and they are probably going to charge, so yeah, I kind of feel like I should. And in order to get the spell through, I'm going to have to use 6 dice, because anything... Oh, is irresistible. Okay, well, the spell's through. That's good. You know what's bad? The miscast that's about to happen. Please don't blow up, please don't blow up, please don't blow up, please don't blow up. 8. magical feedback. The wizard and every model on the same side that can generate power or dispel takes a strength 6 hit. So Kiskir takes a strength 6 hit. That is not the end of the world. He is wounded. Ooh, hang on. Before I do that, though, I do also have to... No, he's okay. If that had been a 1, there's a chance Kiskir could have died. But no, he's just wounded. Shooting. The rock lobber is going to try and do a little bit more damage to these knights. And hopefully it won't scatter onto anything that matters. It doesn't. It's a direct hit, which means a strength 9 hit on 1 and a strength 3 on 5 others. Strength 9 is not a wound. Come on. And the others, 4 wounds, all saved. Well, that was your last chance. I mean, I still think the rock lobber is way, way up on having killed Uthman, but still. No combat, so we go into the final Empire turn. Right, let's see if we can do this charge. This is basically the only thing in the game that still matters, because if you can kill Zarge, Kiskir, and the rest of the Night Goblin spears, then that would be very, very good. Yeah, they can see that unit. It is within 3 inches. You know, they succeed the charge, basically. They do have to take dangerous terrain for every model that comes into contact, and also they are charging out of the pond, so that is everybody apart from these 3. 1 fail, but they take their 90-degree turn, and it's broken the base. For some reason the decals are breaking the base, even though the decals have no physical presence. It's bizarre. Anyway, they charge in. Were they in the flank? They were in the flank. Yeah, so they square up. And this is looking incredibly bad for them. Actually, before I do that, they are going to take the flee reaction, because I think the flee reaction is their only chance of getting away, and I think they're going to die if they stay. So Zarge's unit flees. Double 1. Oh, that's bad. I am going to have to roll, and it is halved because they are in the pond. Swift Stride, they get 3 dice and use the highest 2. 7, halved to 3.5. So they have a charge distance of 11.5. So if Zarge's unit moves 2 inches... they pivot and move 2 inches directly away from the center, so that is that way. So 2 inches, it's so little. They get their 90-degree turn, and then they have 11.5 inches. I think that's just them run down, you know. Oh no! Oh, that's... Yeah, they count as a fleeing unit, and when a fleeing unit is successfully charged, they are just cut down. It's gone. They're gone. Wow. Zarge is... That may have just cost them the game, you know. So Kiskir and Zarge are both just run down by the knights. They do have to take a dangerous terrain. That is... I think it would have been all 5 because they would have positioned so that all 5 could hit. So that's 5 more dangerous terrain tests. And they all pass. Wow. Well, the goblins never cause a panic in the Orkans, so... I don't know who's going to win this. Folk is going to stay and watch because he doesn't feel he's in any danger now. Shooting... These guys are going to shoot at the Orkans at long range. Ooh, they are majority in the cover. I can't remember if it's a majority thing, but yeah, there's like, if there is any part of them out of the cover, it's going to be like a tiny corner of this base, so I'm going to say they're in soft cover. Still 3 hits though, bloody hell. And 2 wounds. Wow, are they going to kill 2 of them just from... Yeah, they are. Incredible. That was horrendously low chance of hitting anything, and they got 2 wounds. The Orkans are probably too close to mortar, but I can mortar the goblins over there. Decent chance of doing some damage. And they scatter 8 inches. That's probably off of them. 8 inches that way takes it into, I think, just no man's land. Oh, no. It does hit 2 Orkans. Very low chance of hurting anything. No wounds. And with no combat, that is the end of the game. The Empire came to the field with only 105 men and lost exactly 4/5 of it. They're left with only 21. And the Skullsmasherz came with not many more, 114, and are left with 27. The Empire, with dead or fled, counting half-destroyed units as worth half points, scored 1,061. They also took out the General for 100 points, and 4 standards for a total of 100 more, giving them a total of 1,261 victory points. The Skullsmasherz, with dead or fled, scored 996, also taking out a General, the Battle Standard Bearer for an extra 100, and 2 standards for a total of 50, giving them a total overall of 1,246 victory points. This was an astonishingly close match, with the difference being 15. It's a draw. And the decider was sort of basically the Reiksguard. They were exactly half their size. If they'd had one more survivor, that would have been like an extra 200 points. That would have been the difference. So yeah, this was a really back and forth match. I really thought the Empire had it, and then just the big uns smashed both of the Empire's big combat units. I think terrain got in the way of everybody. I think I used terrain horrendously in this one. The archers were about the only ones who benefited from it. But that was the Empire versus the Skullsmasherz for the second battle of round 4. Next time will be Wizenland versus Clan Deathtoll in a city battle. Or as close as I can get, I guess. As always, if you have tips on how I can play the armies better, please do put them in the comments, and subscribe for more board games, card games, miniatures like this, and TTRPGs, and I will catch you later.